Hi, my name's Linda Watson and I work here at Kettle Produce as a Farm Assurance Manager within the field department. As you can see, I'm standing here today in this beautiful field of cover crop. It measures about 2.5 hectares and was sown earlier this year in all these lovely flowers that you can see in front of us. So the benefit of this to us is that this field had historically hosted soft fruit tunnels, so the ground itself was a little bit neglected, could do with some TLC, and one of the best ways to do that is to put in something like the crops you see here. So what we've got here is a mixture of Phacelia, which are the lovely purple flowers you can see. We've got some buckwheat, some linseed and some crimson clover in the mix as well. And each of those things separately have their own benefits. So for example, the Phacelia is a great plant for attracting pollinators. You might be able to see some butterflies flitting around behind me and some bees as well. Things like the buckwheat and the linseed are really good overwinter food for small birds. So things like tree sparrows, chaffinches, they love the seeds that drop off the plant when it starts to die off in the winter time. And then we've got the crimson clover, which as well as attracting pollinators is really good for soil health. So that's because it's what we call a legume. It's a nitrogen fixing plant, so it helps to keep the nitrogen in the soil. Phacelia also does that to some extent. It doesn't necessarily release the nitrogen back like a clover does, but what it does is it holds on to it, and then when it's then disked or ploughed back in, all that goodness goes back into the soil as well. Another benefit to it is that it really helps with soil structure. So Phacelia in particular has a very extensive root system, but it doesn't go deep. It spreads out the way and stays within about the top 3 to 4 centimetres of the soil, and that really helps with things like soil erosion and soil structure, helping to get water to percolate down into the ground as well. So you will start to see, as you're driving around in your travels, more fields that look like this nowadays. It might be whole fields such as this one, it might be a corner of a field or perhaps a border all the way around it, and that's because farmers are starting to realise the benefits of this type of work within their larger crop rotation. So it's beneficial to them to be looking after their soil. Obviously it's the biggest asset they have within their farm and it can't be replaced. So all these crops doing their bit to aid soil health is really important. It can also help with what we call their integrated pest management plan by in some cases suppressing weeds. So if you have a patch of field which is very weedy, then something like this can go in and it basically dominates the weeds and suppresses those weeds. It can also act as a preventative measure against insects. So Phacelia in particular, which you see here, is a great attractor of hoverflies. Hoverflies feed on aphids, and then that can prevent aphid problems within the next crop. The biggest thing with this crop is that it attracts so many pollinators. So just within the patch I can see in front of me here, I've got some bumblebees, there'll be some hoverflies. Not so many butterflies today. It is a little bit overcast, so I wouldn't expect to see them out when it's a little bit chilly and windy like this. We do have some beehives just across the other end of the field, and that will give us honeybees too. Although they are great to have, they're not necessarily what we would describe as an indicator of biodiversity like bumblebees are. And that's because they are physically introduced into the environment by man, by ourselves. Whereas our native bumblebees that we see here, they're a much better indicator of overall biodiversity within an area. We'll have different species within here, including white-tailed bumblebees, carder bees, probably some solitary bees as well, but I haven't seen so many of those today. So yeah, this is a really great area for us to be including within our crop rotation, and hopefully having this crop here over the winter, like I say, will give us that benefit of feeding the birds, and then next spring some of this may even start to regenerate naturally itself, so we might see some more of the Phacelia coming through, some more of the clover coming through, and that again provides some early pollen source for those early bumblebees that start to emerge in the springtime before things like oilseed rape are established, and gives them a bit of feeding in what we call the hungry gap before everything else is flowering.